Welcome to a brand new segment of the K&D podcast series, K&D Movies, where we will break down movies new and old and discuss our thoughts and feelings. We hope you enjoy.
Yo, yo, yo. Welcome back to the K&D Exchange. I'm your host, KD, joined by my co-host, David. David, how's your week? Couple of weeks been? No, your week.
Yeah. It's been all right. Last week was busy at work. This week is annual leave. So happy days out here.
Sick. And at the time of recording, it's Valentine's Day. Any plans?
So I've got to explain myself, haven't I? So basically, no, because I have carried the Valentine's torch for absolutely ages, and my wife basically doesn't ever do anything. Like she never gets me a card or anything. So last year I said that's the last year that I'd do it. So I ain't doing nothing, but I'm going to buy her a nice meal later on. So
nice. That's exactly what I'm doing as well. You know, David, you of all people deserve cards. That's what I can't believe that.
I know. In all fairness, though, you know what I mean. It's just some acknowledgement would go a long way.
Yeah. Just a generic card with a generic saying on the front. That's all we need.
Thank you for being average, and you know what I mean.
Thank you for being my husband / wife / partner.
Yep.
Something about cherishing and.
Well, you are perfectly adequate.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Thank you for, my wife sends me a card. Thank you for being my settle option. Good. At least I know where I'm at.
Good. It's always better to know.
Yeah.
And it's to speculate.
Absolutely.
100%. Onto the show. For returning listeners, thank you so much for supporting us and dealing with our bullshit. For new listeners, we are an exchange show on our regular regular episode. I'm acting like we have a radio show, but let's act
call it what it is. Yeah, man.
It is what it is, man. This is just a new way of doing it. But on our regular show, we exchange albums to each other each week. One that the other host hasn't heard before, one that the exchanger is familiar with, and then we alternate that. But we have a new segment, because we both love movies, where we are going to talk about movies or a series of movies. And I think it's probably going to work in a broader exchange style. So, for me, for this time, it was like, let's do an MCU catch-up for you, David. So let's talk Spider-Man. Love talking Spider-Man. So let's talk Spider-Man. And then next time, David will probably throw into the ring, you know what? Throw into the ring, let's do Lord of the Rings, as is apt. So it can work either way like that. So we are on episode 2 of David's MCU catch-up. We're both MCU fans, but there are some gaps in David's viewing history. As he has explained before, you can go back a couple of weeks ago to our Homecoming discussion, and I think you kind of laid it out very, very clearly, like exactly why you might have missed certain films or whatever. And I was the same back then as well. Some films I caught up on. Didn't see every film in cinema. It's a bit harder to do that sometimes when they're coming out and some are like lesser known titles, like Doctor Strange and Ant-Man. When they first came out, I just had no idea about them, or that some of them were even MCU related. Or Guardians of the Galaxy. No idea it was MCU related. I just happened to see it in cinema by accident. And because I had a voucher that day, saw the Marvel thing at the beginning. I was like, what the fuck? Started talking about Infinity Stones. I was like, what? I didn't know this was related at all. But so some of them slipped through the cracks for me as well. So Spider-Man, of all of them, slipped through the cracks for you. But like I said, you did explain last episode.
Yeah, man. There's just so many films. You know what I mean? There's now I think what 25 now.
I was going to say 25. Yeah, I think
So
I'm estimating 25.
I think I've seen maybe 19 of them.
Yeah, it's not bad. That's
It's enough. It's enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
And then
Like,
there's TV shows as well.
but yeah, well,
Yeah.
when we spoke about Loki, like it just wasn't my favorite thing. Like if I'm falling asleep, it's not like I'm not enjoying it. It's not because I'm tired. Like I can power through if I'm enjoying something, but
Fair enough.
But
the Doctor Strange trailer came out today.
I know, but I'm not watching it. I'm not watching anything else because I still need to see Spider-Man 3. So I'm going to wait. Yeah. I'm going to hold fire until I see that. So
for sure, yeah.
Anyway.
No spoilers, but the new trailer has me gassed for the new film.
It's going to be amazing. Like it's going to be amazing. If I was a betting man, it's purely because of Marvel What If that I'm thinking.
Yep,
boy, it's going to be unreal if they could do that on the big screen. Because even with that little series, I adored it. Absolutely, like pretty much.
Same.
I think there was maybe one episode out of that where I was like, meh, it's aight. But then,
but when it all comes together,
the final 2 episodes, I was like, oh my good lord.
Yeah.
And then there's they've left one which is like completely wide open. They haven't explored one story, and I was like, I want that story. I want to know what's the deal there. But anyway.
Yeah, same. But some of my theories that I had about this new Doctor Strange movie, or what might show up, what might be in it, there's certain hints to it in this new trailer, and I was like, nah. But you're right.
Anyway, I'm going to wait.
No Way Home first.
Yeah. I'm going to wait.
Yeah. Speaking of No Way Home, we did Homecoming last week. We are on Far From Home now. Second installment in the MCU Spider-Man trilogy.
Yeah.
And this is the first post-Endgame movie.
Yeah.
So I think technically it's still part of Phase 3.
Yes, it was.
Just at the end of it. More like, I heard someone refer to it as like almost like an epilogue for Endgame. Because it does kind of dive into some of the things that happened as a result of Infinity War, and then what happened as a result of Endgame, because we didn't really see the wider world, right?
It started off with that, didn't it? With the girl and the boy doing the report, and then they're referring to some people like coming back when they're like, this guy was like a little dweeb, and then now all of a sudden he's this handsome Chad sort of thing,
Sure.
So it's quite. It does address the fact that some people are the same and some people are not. So it's pretty. It would make for an interesting dynamic, which they don't, because of the nature of MCU, it's sort of light stuff, isn't it? So they're not going to dwell on that. If it was
too hard,
if it was like Zack Snyder doing Spider-Man, like Lord forbid, it would be a deconstruction of, Spider-Man is this gritty guy, like, I was snapped away and now I've come back. I don't recognize the world. Everyone's bad. Like Zack Snyder is a terrible, terrible director.
He probably would have given Spider-Man a little gun as well to go around shooting people with. That's definitely not something I would have wanted to see.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Yeah, and then he would have like unmasked himself and said, "I'm no hero, kid," and stuff like that. Like, and he would have said to J. Jonah Jameson as he's like pinning him down to the floor, do you bleed? And stuff like that. Just like you. Zack Snyder is a terrible director, but anyway, I think that's another movie discussion, because the guy is visually he's excellent, a very good storyteller visually, but that's because he loves comics. Otherwise, as a script writer, character writer, he's one of the worst I've ever seen. So anyway, that's a different kettle of fish to this.
Yeah, I think the MCU is in good hands overall.
Yeah, I think so. And it's also, people seem to care. So that's really nice.
Yeah, which is good. Yeah, I don't see as much care for the DC universe. But, yeah.
I would say the Snyder cut of the Justice League, there was a lot of care in that. It's not a fantastic movie.
I've heard, yeah.
But however, there are some elements which are very well done.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, there are some. Yeah. If they'd have kept to that, then it would have been a lot better. But it was obviously 6 hours
cut, right?
Yeah,
yeah, 4 or 5 hours.
it took me about 6 days when I had COVID to watch it, sit down and watch it. And I thought, as a series, very, very good.
Sure.
But there are bits in that which are very, just not needed. Like, really, you're just throwing you're just throwing characters in for no reason. It doesn't fit. But anyway, let's get into why we're
Spider-Man.
here.
Yeah.
Spider-Man Far From Home. So,
all right, jump in.
Right, this is the problem with Marvel movies, right? Because they are good in their own right. However, I think I'm a bit burned out. So while I do think this is a very, very good movie, it had me engaged in parts. I thought the action was really cool. Like, it's the same kind of, it was well balanced. It moved really well. Didn't think it was, 2 hours, 20 minutes.
Is that how long it is?
I think it's 2 hours, 20 minutes. I think so.
Okay.
And it breezed through. Like, it didn't feel like it when I watched it, and I was like, "Wow, okay, cool." And it was really, man. It was just a fun ride.
It's fun, yeah. That's how I would describe it.
It's just fun, and it's not too heavy. And there's some cool bits, cool bits in there. I thought Jake Gyllenhaal was perfecto, and it shocked me that he was murdered at the end.
Yeah,
the fact that he caught a bullet, I was like, oh wait, they're gonna kill him. No, keep him around, surely. Nope.
Yeah, he's such a good villain.
He is a top draw actor. I've always had an admiration for him. Like when Donnie Darko came out, that was when I was at uni, so 2002, and he's in that. He plays the titular Donnie Darko, and I've always kept an eye out for him because I was like, this film is so weird, and it's about time and space, and it's massive in scope. And so I've always
Donnie Darko's about.
That's one little bit, like the time space stuff, and the time loop comes towards the end, and you're
crazy.
like,
I've never seen it before.
It's crazy, and I don't even think that's a spoiler or anything like that. You just watch it, and you're like,
it's just part of it.
I don't know what this is about.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's really good. Yeah. So I've always kept an eye out, and I've pretty much watched every film he's been in. I can't say he's ever done a bad film.
Yeah, Source Code is a banger of a film.
I still haven't seen that.
That's okay. So you haven't seen that?
I haven't seen that one.
Film.
Okay, cool.
Source Code is great.
Demolition's good. Nightcrawler is so dark.
Yeah. Really good though.
And Riz Ahmed's excellent in it as well. But yeah, man, Jake Gyllenhaal, and there was something that I noticed as well in this movie, and that was it's quite funny because Spider-Man is called Spider-Man, right? But when he first meets Jake Gyllenhaal and Nick Fury and all of them, you can it's Spider-Boy, isn't it? Because Jake Gyllenhaal's standing behind him, and that's a man.
Yeah.
And Nick Fury's there, and you're like, they're just a pair of guys. You're just this.
You're just this kid.
You're just a kid, and it's really, really quite cool that.
Because I mean, he's the only iteration in all these films. I think Tobey Maguire's one, he was at high school in the beginning, but then he's only in high school for the first 10 minutes or so,
something like
that,
first
20 minutes or something, and in the first act, and then he's left and he's in the city now with his friend. Andrew Garfield's one as well. They graduate in Amazing Spider-Man 2 at the beginning. So, they don't keep him in high school for long. This one, he's been in high school since his intro to the MCU all the way up until throughout this movie, they're on a road, they're on a school trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so it is quite cool. I know a lot of people like to meme it about, oh, this is Spider Boy or Iron Boy Jr. or Iron Man Jr. or something like that. But it kind of makes sense a little bit in context of the MCU as a whole.
Well, think about it, right? Robert Downey Jr. in 2008 was 39, 40, maybe even older than 40, right?
Sure.
And they basically built phase 1, 2, and 3 around him.
Yeah.
So you've got a guy half Downey Jr.'s age that you can build the next, say, 6 phases around. He's going to be a prominent character. they're not going to necessarily, they might not necessarily kill him off, but if they do, they can just roll in, Miles Morales or someone like that straight away. So the MCU will pretty much always have a Spider-Man, which is pretty cool because he's likable. He's, I think he's acted really well. There will come a point where like Tom Holland will not be able to pull off High School. And I think that point is like literally right now. Because I look at him and I'm like, yo, you look like you're in
after
your 20s,
a while.
bro. So
after a while, it's not.
It becomes disingenuous. Like after a while.
Yeah. I mean, Tobey Maguire was a push for High School.
Yeah.
Those were grown men on that field trip.
What is with like America doing that? Like, just hire younger people.
Was that like a 2000s thing? Because I mean, there's a show that my partner watches called Riverdale. Those kids were not in school or high school or college or whatever.
Yeah, they're like 30 odd,
grown
right?
adults.
Yeah.
And they're showing like sex scenes with them and stuff. And it's like, I'm looking at them, I'm just like, you guys are full grown adults. So therefore it's not as weird to watch, but in the context of you being high schoolers and stuff, it's like, why not just set it in college then? Or set it in a different environment?
Yeah, true.
If you're going to use these actors and you want to include these kinds of scenes, why does it have to be set in high school? Like, and if it's going to be set in high school, get younger actors. I'm sure there's loads of them who would be great for that role, and it would be more believable. I don't know what it is.
It's very strange. I don't know if it's a case of, is it safeguarding our youngsters maybe in the sense that you don't want them acting out and
those
causing
kind of
you don't want them sort of exposed to that. Maybe there's a little bit of that, but
it could be. I always wondered, like, when it comes to kids in horror movies, do they watch the movies after? When kids are in violent movies or horror movies, do they watch it after? Does it affect them because they know what's going on behind the scenes?
Yeah, so I can only draw on one thing that I know extensively is Aliens. There's a kid in there, and she is basically in amongst all of this alien stuff, and she's around adults. There are no other children on set. So what they used to have to do with her is, they get her friendly with all the cast and crew and like even the gymnasts that are acting as the aliens, and she would be talking to them. And like without their masks on, just don't worry, darling, it's Jim in this suit, like whatever. And then he put the mask on and he like chase her or whatever, and then she would get used to it, so she wasn't traumatized at all at any point.
Yeah,
and so they really took care with making sure that she knew exactly why things are happening, and then they'd show her the replays or retakes or whatever on set, and they'd say, "This is what it's going to look like. This is what you can expect." So they really did try and take care of her because they did not want her to get upset.
Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. There's probably a lot of that
duty of care almost.
Yeah, like getting them used to it. I heard another theory for why for films like this they might use older actors, because if you use like younger actors, like let's say with Harry Potter, it was useful to use young actors who were the actual ages, because then you could see them grow up through the years, which makes sense for the series. But if it's something like Spider-Man, where I don't think the first two iterations they didn't intend on having them stay in high school, by having an older actor, you could then film the next film over the next 2 years. Yeah. And it's believable that he's now grown up a little bit and he's now in the city. I think it's easier to age someone down than it is to try and age someone
up. Yeah, good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, cool. That would make a lot of sense. Yeah, because I think at this point, Tom Holland I think I'm so used to him, the idea of him being in school and being in these kind of movies. It's weird for me to try and imagine him being, I know he's older in real life, but to imagine him being like just out in the city trying to get a job and do that Peter Parker stuff. I just see him as the schoolboy, yeah.
Well, the thing is as well, I think what has kind of put paid to him as a younger Spider-Man is the fact that the Uncharted trailer came out, where he's Nathan Drake, and having played every single one of those games, I know Nathan Drake, right? And I'm like, Tom Holland.
What people are saying.
If you can do that, then you're a grown ass man now. Like, you're not Spider Boy,
right?
So it then sort of rings a little bit hollow. If I watch when I watch the third movie, if he's still acting as a kid, like, I don't know anything about it, but if he's still the same age, if it literally takes off where this film ends, then like I might be pulled out of the movie a little bit, because I'm like, you're Nate Drake though. You're Nate Drake.
Right.
Okay. You will literally, hide in tall grass. Some poor unwitting soldier will go past you. You'll grab him by the neck, shiv him in the neck, kill him, and leave his body in the tall grass. Like, you know what I mean? You're a full-on murderer. Like, you're Indiana Jones on methamphetamine and killing people. No, he's Indiana Jones on bath salts. That's what.
Maybe you should watch the Spider-Man movie before you watch Uncharted. Then, I mean, when's Uncharted coming out?
Oh, I don't know.
You've seen the trailer though, I guess. So
ages away. And also Mark Wahlberg as a Sully, as a younger Sully. Yeah, you've got a guy that can play it for years. Hopefully, they can play it for years to come, because that's basically the new Indiana Jones lot.
Sure. Okay.
Worthwhile games, but anyway, we're off topic.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah,
it's so good.
Anyway. That reminded me of something. Oh yeah, no, I think it was Tom Holland's idea for them to make an Uncharted movie, because he had played the games while he was working on these films.
Oh, okay.
And he brought it to the studios, and they weren't big fans at first, and then they got on board with the idea of it.
It's so much fun, as long as they don't do like aliens or anything like that. It's got to be tangible stuff, like the city of Shangri-La, Atlantis, flipping. You know what I mean? The Nathan Drake's not Nathan Drake, Francis Drake's final resting spot, things like that have been lost to the mysteries of time. You know what I mean? Bring that to us. But I love stuff like that anyway. It could be true. It's probably not, but it could be. Yeah.
And that's the fun part. There could be,
Yeah, definitely. It's really
Same
cool.
With the multiverse stuff.
Well, I mean, so when I was watching this movie, had I seen it way back when it came out, I would have picked up on the set. Like, this was my nerd sense tingling, right? Not the Petey tingle, the David tingle.
The Peter tingle, yeah.
And when Gyllenhaal says, I'm from, this universe is Earth 616, and I'm from Earth 800 and whatever. And I was like, yo, I thought
Earth 616.
Yeah, I was like, wait, but that's comically wrong, because the MCU is its own universe. Earth 616 is the comics. So the MCU could be Earth 617 or 615.
I think the MCU is Earth like 0098 or something. It's like a really random number.
There you go.
They've actually mentioned that. Yeah, so it's not the same.
So there you and so that was me going, nah, this isn't 616. But I did like the fact that he mentioned it. And then I would have been tingling anyway, because they name dropped Doctor Strange like twice, and I was like, right, you can see the logical progression in the films, because they've already planted the seeds. Doctor Strange, multiverse, like Jake Gyllenhaal, yes, it was made up, and yes, he actually was onto something, but
that was quite a cool thing that they did there, by mentioning the multiverse and then being like, oh no, it was all a big ruse, but then
actually being
spot on. It in. Yeah.
I thought that was really clever. And the fact that the whole Mysterio thing, I was like, throughout the whole thing, I'm like, I know Mysterio, he is bad, right? Quentin Beck is bad, but then when he's doing all the stuff and the saving and all of that, and I was like, what's going on here? And then when it all culminates in, I don't know, Berlin or something, doesn't it? And
Prague.
With the fire thing comes out, and then they have the meal in the shop, and he's like, oh, Mr. Stark wanted me to give this to you, and he gives him the glasses. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like, the glasses really suit him. He looks really cool. Like, I can see why Peter Parker was seduced. And then I was like, oh, well, Mysterio seems like a good dude. Like, maybe I've got it all wrong. Maybe there is a big bad elemental that's coming. Maybe I've got this completely wrong. And then when all the holograms start like shifting around, I was like, You son of a bitch.
I thought the same thing, man. I was watching it. This is the thing for people like us who know Mysterio. And even in the animated show, he comes in pretending that he's a hero.
Yeah.
And he has that weird shape, like voice, which I don't think would have translated well to screen. I thought they did a really good job translating his look to live action, because I was wondering when I first saw the teaser trailer and he showed up, I was like, fuck, they're going to use Mysterio of all people. I was not expecting Mysterio, but then they made him seem like he was a good guy. And I don't remember watching the full official trailer. I just went into the movie as it was. And yeah, I remember thinking, Mysterio's a bad guy. Like,
he's doing good.
I was like, have they flipped it? Like, are they just completely turning it on their heads? Is it going to be that they come to some kind of misunderstanding about how to defeat a common enemy, and then that's what it leads to, that kind of thing, and maybe there's a redemption arc or something?
Yeah.
And I don't know, whatever. But yeah, and then when it turned out that it wasn't true, like I went to see it with my partner. She had no idea about any of this stuff about Mysterio or anything. She was actually shocked as well, which is good, because that means it
worked.
It meant that it worked, yeah, for the average moviegoer who doesn't know. And because nowadays it's not necessarily good guy, so there must be a bad guy, and that's it. You know what I mean? It can be that it's a bit more complex than that. So you could think to yourself, oh, what'd you call it? What was I trying to say? You could go into the movie thinking there's more to it. You know, these two are on the same side. There's a different enemy, or there's a different thing that's going to happen.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Because I know you mentioned last episode, you're like, oh yeah, it's done by drones. And I was like, I was like, all right. But then I forgot when I was watching it. I completely forgot.
That's good.
That you said that. Yeah. And then when it was all like drones and drone tech, I was like, oh my goodness. And of course there's drones like from Edith. We've seen it now. Of course, he calls a drone down from thing, and that Stark satellite it's just hench, chock full of them. So when it all comes down at the end, where there's the big hologram, the big illusion, and how do they create all of that damage? Machine guns. Of course. It's so easy. You know? But yeah, like, the Spider-Man set piece towards the end was astounding. I couldn't believe.
Oh, when he was tricking him continuously, like,
gee, oh my gosh, I haven't even. So I'm skipping ahead, right? Yeah.
Okay, right, yeah.
So do you know what? That's that. Let's rewind. Forget the end for now.
Oh, I thought that's what you were talking about at first.
No, I was talking about like the bridge bit. But however, let's go with the subterfuge and the. So when after Jake Gyllenhaal has gotten Edith, he then...
1 second, David.
Go on. What the fuck?
Something's throwing me off on Zoom. It says we've got 7 minutes remaining.
I know. It says upgrade to Pro.
I thought you had Pro.
No, I ain't paying for... Listen,
not Pro, but I thought you had something that meant it didn't have a cap on the meeting time.
Normal Zoom doesn't have a cap. It's not meant to. It's meant to... If it's like a meeting between two human beings, then you can go for as long as possible. That's what I've always done. And then if it's for more than two people, maybe because you logged in as 2 KDs, I don't know.
As 2 KDs.
At the start, maybe. I don't know, mate.
Oh, maybe. Okay. So if it goes off,
then I'll just re-edit it. Like,
we'll just edit. We'll put it together. That's fine. Anyway, should we just keep talking?
Yeah, let's keep talking.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. So go ahead.
So. Okay, rewinding back. So the whole, what was really cool? Yeah, Edith is given to Jake Gyllenhaal. Jake Gyllenhaal reveals his plan, and then he fights Spider-Man, doesn't he? And he tricks him and Nick Fury into that building.
Yeah.
And that was like, how do you fight that? It was awesome, especially towards the end where I was like, oh, Nick Fury's finally come to beat him. Like Quentin Beck is down, and then nope. And then puts him in front of a train. I was like, this is amazing. Like, that is the full power of Mysterio. Like, he's all about theatrics, throwing you off balance. He's basically MCU version of, for goodness sake, the Scarecrow in Batman.
Oh yeah.
Using your fears, your like any little angle he's got on you, like an inferiority complex. You're living in like Tony Stark's shadow. Like, you know, you're afraid of not living up to him. Things like that. Any little angle, he's just going to use it against you, and he
makes you doubt your reality big time. Like, that
big
must
time.
trip you up so much, because it's not just the first kind of thing where there's all those multiple Spider-Men like coming at him, and then the zombies of the Avengers coming out of the ground and whatever else. That all happens and it all stops. And then, yeah, you're right. There's, you know, Nick Fury comes along, but then it turns out that's fake as well. And then something else it's like 2 or 3 different things.
Yeah.
After another.
Yeah. It's complete subterfuge, and it's just done effortlessly well. I was absolutely absorbed by the Mysterio scenes. Like, this is what he can do, you know? And, the misdirections, the multiple misdirects that you are given. I was just like, this is so impressive.
Yeah.
This is
visually
so
as well. And just as an idea.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, as a storyboard, I could imagine that playing out in a comic, for example, or on a storyboard. It's just complete misdirection the entire time. And that's, I think, the allure of Mysterio. It's why I've always rated him as a hero. No powers, just tricks. That's
pure tricks. Yeah, pure
tricks.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know what his best feat is. Like if he's gone on against anybody who's like way more powerful than him, but I think he relies on the sense of sight, and that's it.
Yeah.
If you beat that, then he's done. You know,
literally.
You know, I thought he looked good.
Mm-hmm. I thought he looked good in the suit.
And even when he was full on unhinged as well, just Jake Gyllenhaal can do it all. I absolutely buy him.
I was going to say, how did you feel about the fact that after a while he kind of stopped? They stopped really showing him in the Mysterio suit and just showed him in a kind of allusion to the suit where he's wearing the dome on his head.
Yeah.
And kind of walking around the bridge, coordinating everything. Yeah. You still see him as Mysterio, but it's obviously not him. It's a projection. He's good enough to carry that, right?
He just does it. You would look stupid in any other movie, but he just makes it work. And I also like the fact that, you know, he hates Tony Stark and stuff. And I think there was a comic where, and it's one of the only few Iron Man ones that I've read, but basically somebody goes to him and says, "Hey, Tony, I've got this really good idea." And he's like, because Tony's always like distracted. He's always thinking about something else. He's in the room, but he's basically on his phone, and he's like, cool. I know your idea. It's really cool. And he's looking down at his phone. He's like, that's fine. Like, I've just bought your company anyway. And, don't worry about it. And don't worry about the idea. And the guy's like, "What are you talking about? I'm right here." And then basically has like a full-on meltdown, like, "Tony, I can't believe it. You're a son of a bitch." And then like he walks out, and then Tony's like, "Wait, what? No, I want you to help me with stuff. You're the." But he's so distracted, and I think that's, you know, part of the reason why people hate him. I think they play on that little comic book, you know, just like he's a bit of a dick, but he's actually always thinking about the next thing that he's got to do.
For sure.
Which I think's pretty cool. So he can make a lot of enemies that way, and that's why, you know, Quentin Beck hates him. And I'm like, yeah, man, rally up the posse at Stark Industries. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Even though you've got one lady who's a genius, and then you've got a press in your cape.
Yeah, right.
What?
And I like how they brought back the guy from Iron Man 1. Like,
was it actually him? Because
that's actually him. It's the same actor. And it's meant to be the same character. And they do the flashback of
to Obadiah.
Yeah, shouting at him. It's the same guy. When I saw that, I was like, what? Like, how? They actually went all the way back and got that. Yeah.
That is brilliant.
Little details in this movie. Yeah, so the fact that they brought that guy back in, I was not expecting that. No. And the fact that they go back to somewhere like Civil War with that whole bath presentation he's giving.
Yeah.
And they kind of, it's not a retcon really, but it's more like an additional detail of. I mean, they probably didn't plan this back then, but
Yeah.
it's a good way of putting it in, because it's not like they went into depth about where that whole simulation thing came from.
No, they never did. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a good link to have for someone like Mysterio, that he was involved in Stark tech that was to do with illusions and augmented reality. So that was really good. I wonder if that's actually what sparked the idea to bring Mysterio in the first place.
Could be.
That connection.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool that we've seen Mysterio in live action. I've always wondered how it would be. Yeah. But what I was going to say is that there's these interesting little details in the film. So when they're walking in Venice,
he's in the cap, isn't he?
He's in the cap.
Mysterio's behind him. Yeah, I clocked it and I rewound it. I was like, that's because he only half turns, and I was like, Mysterio's there. He knows it.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so did you catch that on your first watch?
First watch, yeah.
Man, I didn't know that until I saw it in like a YouTube video.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was just like, I know that jawline anywhere.
There's another member of the team who's also just walking around the background looking at Zendaya and Tom Holland.
Right.
The guy who's driving the bus in London.
I've seen that actor around, right? He's been about, and I don't know what in.
Same. I don't know where he's from either. But I'm pretty sure I've seen him before.
Yeah, do you know what? I don't know if I clocked him at that point at all. But yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then, in the post-credit scene, when
we'll get to that.
Yeah, well, that you can tell that character is acting different through very, very slight things. And have you seen Captain Marvel?
No, but okay. I know of it.
Yeah, there's a detail in there which explains how you can tell if that's the real guy or not, and it's done in reverse here than it was in that movie. So in that movie, that character was trying to. I don't know why I'm saying that character, as if the
Nick
people watching don't have any.
It's Nick
film's
Fury.
Been out for time, man. If you haven't seen, that's your problem. Like
Nick Fury.
Nick Fury is not Nick Fury throughout this entire movie. He's a Skrull who were introduced in Captain Marvel, and in Captain Marvel, the way Nick realized, and the Skrulls can shapeshift basically. The way Nick realizes that someone is not who they appear to be is because they call him Nicholas, and he literally has a whole drive with Captain Marvel on the way to SHIELD headquarters, and he starts talking about. So she says, "What do you call yourself?" And he goes, "Nick." It's like, short for anything else? Like, no one calls me Nicholas. No one calls me Fury. No one calls me this. They just call me Nick.
Yeah, and Maria Hill called him Fury like a couple of times. Yeah.
And it's a small detail like that where it's not, and he's not 100% fully into his decisions in this movie.
So this was the thing, right? Because there was a line where I was like, is Nick Fury becoming unhinged? Because he says, I used to know everything, and then I was blinked out of existence. Now I know nothing. And I was like, so we seeing Nick Fury becoming a bit like paranoid, unhinged, like things like that. And then like when it came to the reveal at the end, I was like, so the Skrulls are in it. Oh, right. So they're leading up to Secret Invasion. Secret Wars. Secret Wars. That was the world, wasn't it? Secret Wars was Doctor Doom, and he makes Battle World. I think that's what it was. Or was it the Beyond? I can't remember. But,
I can't remember, fully. But that's going to be its own TV show at some point, which they're filming right now.
What, Secret Wars?
Emilia Clarke in it. Secret Wars or Invasion, whichever one it is, and it's going to be based around the Skrulls.
Oh, sorry, Secret Invasion. Well, that's boring, because I thought that if they were going to do like a feature-length film of the Skrulls, you would have unlimited capacity to have all of your actors back who are dead in the MCU but alive in real life. You know what I mean?
They might do an Avengers Secret Wars, so there's still that on the table. Or not Avengers Secret Wars, just a Secret Wars movie. Once they introduce like some of the key characters, because some people are saying that. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Certain people may be coming back for those things.
Yeah, because you could do like a Skrull version of like Scarlett Johansson or someone like that. Like, just you could
right.
all of these people back to do,
Yeah.
To do cameos and stuff. You got unlimited stuff like that.
Yeah,
if it's going to
true.
be a TV show, like Emilia Clarke, not good enough for movies anymore. You're only good enough for flipping TV shit. Bless her.
Emilia Clarke, she's the one from Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah, buddy.
Yep. She, I think that TV show is going to help set. It's like a setup kind of to introduce stuff that maybe wouldn't warrant its own movie. Like Hawkeye. When I watched that TV show, I was so surprised. I thought, you know what, this could have actually been its own standalone movie potentially, but I preferred it as a TV show because they could really dive in deeper.
The thing is, Renner I think he's a really good actor, but he has to bounce off someone. So in like Arrival, he's got Amy Adams to bounce off, and she's a fantastic actress, and he's brilliant in that. In Wind River, what's her name? Scarlet Witch is in that film. One of the best films I've seen in the
Elizabeth Olsen.
That's her name.
Yeah.
One of the best films, honestly, that I've seen in the last 15, 20 years. I was so surprised by that. And he is fantastic in it. But he's bouncing off Elizabeth Olsen, who is also absolutely brilliant in it.
I think you're right about that, because there's a film Tag, which is really funny. And he's kind of bouncing off of those other guys who are all like funny and good actors in their own right. Even in Avengers, he's kind of bouncing off Black Widow.
That's it.
That's like his key partner. And in Hawkeye, it's I can't remember her name, but basically someone who is also basically she grew up a Hawkeye fan because she saw him fighting the aliens in New York.
Right.
And then as she grows up, she becomes like a bow and arrow enthusiast, and they end up meeting, and she's like under his wing, and she becomes, I can't remember what her comic book name is because she's in the comic books as well. It's part of that story, and she becomes like she basically comes up under him. So they have their dynamic in that. And you really feel for Hawkeye's character in that. Like it really shows much more depth and stuff. Like I really like his character more now. Watching that show. But
I was going to say that I think they did a really good thing with Ultron when they went to Hawkeye's family farm.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, oh, that's such a nice touch. Like, it's so, like, I just didn't expect it when I watched it. Like, he's married with 3 kids.
Yeah.
It's just kind of cool.
They kept alluding to it early, like during the film, like, oh, you got a girlfriend? You're anything like that? And he's just being a bit coy about it. Like, and then he's on the phone to someone and it's like, oh, who's that? It's like, girlfriend. That kind of thing. But then you actually, he's the one who takes them to the safe place to hide out. And they all have their really deep kind of meaningful relationship scenes. Like Captain America and Iron Man have their kind of tension growing about what they need to do. Black Widow and Hulk about their relationship, all that sort of stuff. So that's really cool. But
Ford
so in
decides to go off and take a bath.
Oh yeah. Classic Thor. He just fucks off.
He just sods off. Although that scene was really cool. Like, you've got Idris Elba with paled out eyes going, "Now, do you see, brother? Do you see?" Yeah, really messed up. But anyway, it's Ragnarok, mate. Ragnarok.
But this. Why do we talk about? Oh yeah, because Skrulls. That's it.
Yeah.
So they're So they were part of this film. What was I going to ask you? What did you think about the fact that this is a Spider-Man film? I mean, I know that we've seen him in space because of Infinity War, and we saw. I mean, we were usually every time we've seen Spider-Man on a screen, it's been in New York. It's been a New York-based story. Yeah. He's swinging around big buildings in like an iconic location like that. He's tied to New York.
Yeah.
And Homecoming, we had that.
Yeah.
Civil War, he went to. I mean, we met him in Queens, but we saw him in action in wherever that place was, Berlin or whatever, that airport. And then Infinity War and whatever, we had him in space.
Yeah.
And Endgame as well. How did you feel about, in this one, having an entire Spider-Man movie set abroad.
Yes, it didn't
Like,
bother me at all.
completely different locations. Yeah, I've seen people mention that.
It didn't
I didn't
bother
think it
me.
was an issue because did you think it was in? I mean, not that this is a bad thing, but some people would say things like, "Oh, it wasn't what's the word, integral to the story for him and them to be." It's almost like they thought, let's give them some unique, interesting locations. Okay, fine, they're on a school trip. Even though Peter Parker technically shouldn't be at a school that can afford to go on those kind of trips like that.
Oh, it's a movie. Get over it. Like,
Exactly.
well, come on.
I thought it was fine. That stuff wasn't going through my head, to be honest. Like, you can draw all that out in a comic book, which is going issue by issue by issue. I thought it was fine for this movie.
Let's think about what Peter Parker's journey has been, right? He gets bitten. He then goes around and he fights people and he's not very good at it. Tony Stark gives him a little bit of tech, helps him out, says, I need your help. I'm going to fight your heroes, the Avengers. He fights the Avengers. He sees Giant Man. He gets absolutely murked. He faces the Winter Soldier and Falcon. He goes up against Captain America. That's a big deal. So he's buzzing. Yeah. You can't believe it. Then he gets zapped up into space, fights Thanos, gets blinked out of existence, comes back, and everybody wants to give him a bit of a hard time because he needs a break. Fuck right off.
That's a really good point.
Just relax.
He's a kid who wants to just kind of and we saw that with fucking in Spider-Man 2, where he does the whole Spider-Man No More thing. Yeah. Where he says, I can't balance these two things in my life. I'm giving up the mantle. This one's not him giving up the mantle. He's just saying, I just want to go. Like, people forget in this iteration, he is in a world full of superheroes in New York alone.
Exactly.
Right? I know Iron Man's dead at this point, but and Captain America is gone. Thor is off world. Captain Marvel's off world. Okay, cool. The world is full of superheroes. Stark Industries is still there. Can he not just go? He's not the head of the Avengers now.
Yeah,
he's not the main only superhero in the entire world. Can he not go on his school trip?
This is it, and he even says it in the film, doesn't he? He's just like, I just need a break. Like, just let me be. So, you know what I mean? Anybody that's like, oh, it's not in New York. Like, they've had an alien attack, the Vulture. They've had flipping Doctor Strange doing shenanigans down there. Loki and Thor have been down there. Like, come on. Like, leave New York alone. We've seen it enough.
Doctor Strange,
when that big ship comes down and the wizard and that massive dude come in from Infinity War, like, that's in New York. So just chill out. Like, we don't need it there anymore. New York's been destroyed. Like, it's been the 5-year snap. Like, come on. You need it somewhere else. Like, you need it somewhere else. So having the grand set piece in London, like, why not? Even though Tower Bridge doesn't look that shiny or anything, because it is.
No, it doesn't look that perfect.
But you know, it was a great end showdown. It was, you know, just leave it alone. I like the fact that he was in the Netherlands. I thought that was quite funny. When he's
that was funny as well.
When he got hit by the train. That was rough.
Yeah.
That was rough.
You can tell, especially with Spider-Man, because Avi Arad has always been like an executive producer on all of these movies, and he was an executive producer on the animated show as well, I think. Basically, and he's a toy maker, right? So he sells toys.
Sure.
And he gets licensing and stuff for that. He's the reason Sam Raimi added Venom to Spider-Man 3. Because he was like, you need to listen to the fans. You need to listen to the fans. And he just ruined the fucking movie. And then he apparently for the animated show, they didn't want certain things to be done because they just wanted to sell toys. They made that show just so they could sell Spider-Man related toys. They were like, you have to include this person. If they just didn't have a good writer on board who basically subverted the studio and tried to work around all their insane kind of
demands,
demands and like micromanagement, he was able to work around it and actually made like a serialized story, because they thought kids wouldn't be able to keep up with that. They thought kids wouldn't care, and they just wanted to sell toys. So they were like, include this, include that. And he was able to do all of that, but still made it. The reason, this is the thing with studio executives, man. How do they not see each time that these things actually do turn out to be great and people still love them when they go back as adults?
I've got no idea, man.
And then they still try and intervene. That's why Amazing Spider-Man 2 fucked up as well.
Oh, it could have been so good because there was a lot to like about it.
100%, man.
Not just, Well, this is the thing, though. This is what ruined, like Justice League and, like, Man of Steel and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They got the wrong guy to do it. Simple as that. Superman is a light, bubbly character who always sees the good. And it's like, no, you've got Batman, who's the antithesis of Superman.
Yeah.
Just make him the gritty. Keep Ben Affleck as Batman. I think he was great. To be honest, I like the older version of Bruce Wayne. I like the fact that he's like grizzled and stuff like that. Keep that. But then you make Superman like smiley and jokey and yes, son, like, you can be a hero just like me, that kind of stuff. Not Zack. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know why I've got like a massive like target on Zack Snyder today. You know what? I watched what did I watch the other day? Army of the Dead. The Dead? The zombie thing with Dave Bautista in it. By the way, Dave Bautista is actually a really good actor, but that's another thing.
Yeah, sure. Is he he's the guy Guardians of the Galaxy? The one
he's Drax the Destroyer.
Drax, that's it. No idea of sarcasm or
he's very literal. Which is
perfectly still.
Yeah.
You cannot see me right now. I'm completely invisible. It's like, I can see you. No, you can't. It's like, you're literally moving. You're literally eating right now. It's like, no, I'm not.
He's, and even who was it? Drax that came up with the line, with in Infinity War, and Star-Lord says, "I'm going to fry Spider-Man." Like, where's Gamora? Iron Man's like, who's Gamora? And he's like, why is Gamora?
Apparently that was ad-libbed.
Yeah, apparently either Chris Pratt gave him the line or he came up with it. Like one of them two. So I in the cinema, I was like, I did not expect to laugh so hard at that. I was like, that 100%. Is a genius line. Like, I'll do you one better. What is Gamora? But I flipping love the Guardians of the Galaxy. I must admit, they did Star-Lord dirty. Anyway, done him dirty because he's not just a dickhead. He is a dickhead, but he's got it where it counts. He's a
for sure.
In the comics, he's a military, like he's a genius at fighting. So I like the fact that they make him wily, but he's like a tactician, whereas Rocket's like the engineer, and then Drax and Gamora are like the muscle. Sure. And Groot, they're the muscle. But anyway. Sure. But back to Spider-Man. Look, let's get to the end set piece. And then let's also go for one of the end stingers, because now my overall feeling on this film was it's really difficult to surprise somebody twice, right? So I saw Spider-Man a couple of weeks ago and I was like, oh my goodness me, I didn't expect to enjoy it so much. Michael Keaton was amazing. The fact that they're alluding to the Sinister Six, like unbelievable. Thought Tom Holland was brilliant. Love Ned. Oh, and Ned again.
Ned, what a guy.
The whole thing of them having like a summer romance is flipping brilliant. Like it's such a stupid, inadequate point. The whole Night Monkey. That's Night Monkey.
What's his name? That's not Spider-Man. That's Night Monkey. It's like, go Night Monkey. Yeah, go
Night Monkey. Yeah, he is brilliant. I thought Zendaya didn't really do that much, did she? She was just like kind of
not really given much to do a lot of the time.
Yeah. It's a bit difficult, but she's fine. I buy her and stuff, and I like her the way that she's quite like awkward and stuff. Like I really enjoy their dynamic.
They planted the seed of their romance at the end of Homecoming.
Yeah,
but they didn't show any sign of Peter liking her back. But I can understand it because a few films have passed right now, right? So
and he's come back from
young. He's come back from his blip, and they're young kids.
Yeah,
he could have moved from crush to crush just like that, from Liz.
I think we all did. Like, it was flavor of the month. You didn't know what was going on. You just like, girls, that one. She looked at me. I like it.
Right.
But I mean, I like that. I thought the end fight was astounding. Like, I thought the action was really, really good. However, I was like, you got that many drones. You're doing all that. Like, you're mincemeat, dude. You are mincemeat. So because they're all there's loads that
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, yeah, like he's fighting like a bunch like around the bridge, but there's loads like higher up.
Yeah.
And like you've got Mysterio going, fire on my position. Spider-Man's toast. Like regardless of the web swinging shenanigans, like he's done. There's no way you can,
he's not invincible.
Exactly, and that's the thing, right? So anyway, hero has to survive. He makes it up to the bridge, the glass bridge bit, and then when Mysterio does all the hologram stuff, I was like, this is. Like, I didn't know what to expect, and then he just destroys all of the drones. I was like, this is amazing. Mysterio catches one in the side, and he's like, you know what, man, you are a good person, and that makes you weak. And then he's looking down at Mysterio's shot, and then you hear a gunshot, and I was like, what? And then the camera zooms out, and Spider-Man's holding a gun, which was pointed at his head. He's holding it up, and you're like, oh, Mysterio, to the end. Like with the subterfuge, man. Like oh man! And when he says like you can't sneak up on me anymore or something like that, I was like, whoa!
I thought that was great. I thought the fact, because I used to wonder, did they just forget that he has a spider sense?
Yeah, I think that you know what, they allude to it in Infinity War.
They allude to it so actually even before Infinity War, but in such subtle ways.
Yeah.
It also makes sense because this is the youngest version of Peter Parker that we have.
Yeah, he doesn't know it yet.
That doesn't necessarily mean that he has come to grips with every power of his yet.
That's it, yeah.
Right? So he even says in Civil War, it feels like all my senses are dialed up to 10. That's why I wear those goggles. He's the one who creates the goggles that change in to mimic his eye movement and stuff, so he doesn't have to keep fucking taking off the mask like in the other movies. Just show me Spider-Man, man. I don't want to keep seeing fucking Andrew's face or Toby's face all the time. But when they're fighting the villains, I want to see Spider-Man fighting these villains. But I think that was a good workaround. But yeah, even in Homecoming, they actually alluded to it in such a subtle way. I don't know if we mentioned it last time, but I didn't realize this until someone pointed it out, that when you watch the video bit at the beginning, like the home video he's making, and Tony takes the camera and then he's like, oh, hey, mate, how's it going there? What you wearing? And he's like, oh, I'm only joking. And then they start talking and Peter's in the shot. And then suddenly the car's about to hit another car. Like they're about to have a little accident. But if you watch that clip, you can see Peter already before that car bit is about to happen, before they react to it, he's already looking to the side as if something's coming, and then he doesn't react when the actual thing happens, if that makes sense.
Right, okay.
He sensed that the car is about to come anyway, so he doesn't react because he's already prepared. It's not a shock to him, whereas Tony's like, oh, Happy, can you pay attention to the to the road?
So he's okay. I didn't clock that.
Literally, if you watch it, you see him look over and then not even flinch. And I don't think these are done by accident. I think that these are all like, there's really, and some of these guys like Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland were like huge Spider-Man fans growing up. So they know the stuff well themselves. But I love how they introduced it in here, like as in really dived into it. And the fact that it became, everything's so nicely interconnected. I think.
It really is.
Like, we were talking about the fact that they use Mysterio, and then they have him doing all the weird reality bending shit. Mate,
that's so good.
I was not expecting them to then. I thought it was the Peter Tingle thing was just a joke, like throughout the beginning of the film or something. I didn't realize that those two things would connect, where
it would come
like
back.
He has to fully trust he trusts his instincts, and I love the scene where he's like, he breathes in and it's like, okay, Peter Tingle. And then it's pure darkness, and he somehow is able to knock out every drone, even though he can't see anything.
Yeah.
And the Mysterio shot, the fact that the guy's literally right next to him and he's able to just move it.
That honestly was
so good.
Because I was like, oh, he's done. Like, he's done. He's not shot. He's shot. He's finished. That's it. To the end. An absolute danger.
I'm still on edge now that film is still happening.
Danger, man. Absolute danger. But the thing is, I think they did allude to it Yeah, the spider sense, because he managed to get a few last words out before he was dusted, because he would have felt Thanos like click, and he's
Yes,
like,
that's true.
"Hang on a minute, oh my gosh, I feel wrong."
It coming. He
Yeah,
felt,
and that's why he was, "Oh, Mr. Stark, I don't want to die, Mr. Stark."
100%.
And you're like,
Yeah.
"No, not you."
Yeah, because his one's the worst. His one was the worst because he was the youngest. He could feel it coming, and he had such a realistic reaction to it for a young person like that.
Yeah.
Probably any of us, but especially someone as young as him.
Yeah.
To be completely out of his depth. He's like literally accidentally ended up in space, and he could have stayed on Earth. Like at that point when he's like...
He willingly went, though.
He willingly went, but he even says to himself, I should have stayed on the bus.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
In moments like those, you're like, you know what? I should have just stayed at home. You know, when things like that happen.
Yeah.
You know, you get caught in the underground and it just stops.
Yeah.
Halfway between stations.
I should have called in sick.
I should have just stayed at home. In that moment, you start to remember things differently, where you think something was telling me to stay at home. No, it didn't. You just you were just going about your day as normal.
No, man, we all have a PT tingle. Like, that's for sure. We all have a spidey sense,
and it's called anxiety. But yeah,
stress. Yeah,
yeah, it's called stress and anxiety. Those are your spider senses. But yeah, the in Infinity War as well, when he's on the bus and he's kind of just looking down.
Yeah,
at his phone,
the hairs. Yeah,
I was like, oh, okay, cool. So they are saying that he does have a spider sense. They haven't just forgot. I was really
Ned, I need a distraction. We're all gonna die.
We're all gonna die.
It's just like there's no this is why I love Ned. Like there's no hesitation.
Yeah, he loves being like the fact he loves being.
Was it FOS?
Friends
of
Spider-Man. FOS. That's it. It's like, oh, so you're FOS now, friend of Spider-Man.
Mate, he is honestly
when he walks in on them two, and he's like, oh,
yeah.
Oh yeah, Peter. I haven't got my Spider-Man costume either, or something like that. Yeah.
He's just always ready to cover for his boy. Like
100%.
Ned is like one of the best characters. Honestly, we all need a Ned in our life. Like he's just blindly loyal. It's so fun to watch.
It's so good. It's so
good. Yeah, it's.
Did I tell you? Did I mention on here the story when I bumped into Tom Holland? I'm kind of.
Shut up! Really? Did you like go? Oh my god! It's the Spider-Man.
No, I did. I actually turned out worse. I was a bit reluctant to bring it up, but I might as well.
Yes.
I met him. I didn't really meet him. I bumped into him while he was filming this movie in particular, because I was in Venice when I watched this movie. There's a little bittersweet moment when they're in Venice, and I'm like, I was there when this was being filmed. So the way it looks, the way everything's happening, I was there during that time. And we were in Venice, and we happened to go on this little boat trip where it went from the main city. There's these 3 islands off of Venice. And we went on this little tour where we went to the first island, then the second island, third one. Each one had their own unique pool or something to why you would go there. And my partner says to me, she goes on Instagram or she goes on Snapchat or something. She goes, oh, isn't that the guy who plays Spider-Man? She doesn't really keep up with like the names and faces like that. And she was like, oh, isn't that the guy? She must have seen maybe Zendaya or something. Like, oh, it's all 3 of them. They're in Venice right now. And it's like, oh shit. And I knew that the new Spider-Man was going to be set like across Europe or something like that. Yeah. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. And I was like, okay, cool. That's cool. Shit, man, that's really cool. And then, imagine we bump into them, blah, 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 just as a joke. Forgot about it, went on with our boat tour. Went to the first island, it was really cool. Went to the second island, was really cool. Went to the third one, and by this point, I really needed a piss. So we get off on that island. I'm walking, and I'm like, God, I need somewhere to piss, man. It's a really nice restaurant. It's just on the path. This is a very remote island, but there's this really beautiful restaurant.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, do you reckon they'll just let me in to go piss? It doesn't seem like the kind of place that would do that. They looked very uptight. But I went there, guys were super nice, and they were like, yeah, go ahead. They just did not care. Like, yeah, go ahead. And I was like, okay. So I went in there, took my jacket off that I had with me or something. I don't know why I had a jacket, because it's really hot.
Because you're just a certified roadman, that's why.
Yeah. No, but I think at that point, it was, I can't remember. The weather was a bit up and down at certain parts,
Sure.
and because we went to Florence during that trip and it was cold, which was weird. So it was quite hard to gauge what to wear. So anyways, I went into this bathroom and came out as normal. I'd left my jacket in there. Went back in, and it was one of these fancy bathrooms where there's only one cubicle, and the cubicle's not really a cubicle. It's you go through the door and there's a nice little bathroom if you just don't want to use the urinal, right?
Sure.
And I'd gone in there, and I'd obviously put my coat down, left it there, or jacket, or whatever. Come back out, had forgotten it. So I was like, shit, okay. Went back in. Tom Holland walks out of that quote unquote cubicle that I had just been in. I hadn't seen him. As I walked out, he must have gone in just after me or something like that. I walk out, I walk in, and I see him, and I recognize him straight away. And I'm just like, the fuck? Like, I know you're here because I've seen you on Instagram, but how have we bumped into each other on this island that's so far away? Like, how have we happened to just bump into
this toilet?
In this toilet? Like, if I had just not left my jacket, I would not have even known you were there. We would have just slipped past each other.
Unbelievable.
Such a weird coincidence. And it's easy to sit here. Like, my friends take the piss out of me all the time. I shouldn't have told them this story.
No, you shouldn't.
I shouldn't, but I'm owning it now. I don't care.
Yeah, good man.
But because, to be honest, it's so easy to be able to sit here and be like, yeah, I wouldn't react. I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't say anything.
No, in that moment, when you're there, literally caught with your pants down. Like, what the hell?
Like, and the fact that it was so coincidental blew my mind. And I kind of just like nodded to him, and he kind of nodded to me or whatever when he walked past, and he went to go wash his hands. What I should have said, basically, was if I wanted to start a conversation, but I wasn't thinking properly, what I should have said in hindsight is maybe, oh, sorry, did you see a jacket in there? Just treated him as normal, right? And just been like, did you see a jacket in there? I think I left it in there. All these thoughts were running through my head like, does he think I'm just some Italian guy? Does he know that I'm British as well? You know?
Does he think that I'm a toilet stalker?
Yeah. Does he? Maybe he. You know. I kind of wanted to acknowledge that I'm a big fan of him, and I actually do like him as Spider-Man. All that kind of thing. You know, it's not like he's some random actor. He's actually someone who's part of like a series or something that I really, really enjoy. And as he was leaving, I went and got my jacket, and I stupidly said to him, oh, it was nice to meet you, by the way. But we hadn't formally met each other. What I really should have said was, oh, by the way, because I kept thinking to myself, what I should have said was, I should have just kept it simple and said, oh, I'm a big fan, by the way. Right? But I kept thinking, I need to say something different. I need to acknowledge it. But in the moment, so many things were going through my head. I was like, I have to say something.
You know what? Listen.
And I said it.
Doesn't it make you think, right? Because, you know, I don't know if you do this, but I do this a lot. Yeah. If, for example, you're running certain scenarios in your head, like, in this situation, I'd say this or that, whatever. Yeah. You know, for guys you know, racist on the bus, I'd say, you know, like,
I'll say this, I'll get
fuck your mum, like, whatever, right? I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
What would I say? I'd say something along the lines of, you know,
say, suck your mum.
Well, out of 3 trillion sperm you came out, you truly are a miracle. Why don't you do us all a favor and kill yourself? But something like that. That's just off the top of my head. As you can tell, I have a lot of rage when it comes to racism. Oh, also, I mean, that's, you know, what I was fighting on Twitter the other day. Could not believe the heat.
I was thinking that as well, yeah. I saw that too.
Anyway, like, who would have thought that a black person would get upset from you know, experiencing racism? Anyway, I'll tell that story another time.
Crazy, right? It's crazy.
But, you know, when you run like all these certain situations in your head, like, oh, if I ran into this person, you know, somebody who was a shit to you back in the day, you know, you acknowledge them in a certain way, whatever. However, like, when you're in the moment, it's one thing planning. Like, all of a sudden, your brain's like, wow, this is real now, here.
Mm-hmm. And you only have a couple seconds to react. So it's going through every scenario. Yeah. All
semblance of cool or, you know, social diction like goes out the window. Because
right out the window.
Well, think about it though. There's a power dynamic there is a power dynamic here in the sense that person you've seen on screen, you know, that person exists in life, but that person doesn't know you exist or anything about you. You have an idea of what they could be like because of how they portray themselves on screen. Obviously, you know, we know that Tom Holland's British or whatever, and he seems like an all right dude, even though he supports Tottenham. Fucking waste, man.
I thought you were going to say something worse, like, oh, even though he supports, I don't know, this particular.
Oh, even though he's KKK, you heard it here first.
I was going to be like, no. Like, what's he going to say?
He supports Tottenham, which makes him, like, honestly, I used to like him, and he's gone down a few pegs for me. Because the thing is as well, like, he'd be like quite self-entitled about it, and it's like, you are nothing. Anyway, sorry, your team is nothing. But anyway, no.
I should have said that to him.
Could you imagine? Oh, by the way,
I should just be like, yeah, how do I show him that I'm also British as well? Yeah, fuck Tottenham, and then seeing how he reacted.
Yeah, and then he would have, like, I don't know, like, used some movie moves on you and just put you on the floor.
Because he does do his own stunts, so I would have literally backed myself into.
Isn't he like a? Doesn't he do like ballet and I
think he did do a lot
gymnastics
of that
and like he's light on his feet, that guy.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, man. Like, while I would take the piss out of you for that story,
mate, I take the piss out of myself for that. I'm okay with it. I mean,
it's nice to meet you.
It was literally a split second thing of like, I can't believe I've run into him. I did not, because I saw the Instagram post, completely forgot about it after. I was like, oh, that's really cool. I'm on this trip doing this thing. I'm going out of the mainland, whatever. I'm probably thinking the most that we'd get is hearing that there are camera crew in this area or something like that. Or, oh, if you go through there's a big crowd or something. It's probably the most that we would experience. That's all I'm expecting. Not to actually come face to face with one of the actors.
Is he taller than you? Smaller?
No.
He looks mini.
He is. He was smaller than me, which I use in my own defense. Not that it changed anything, but
nice to meet you, fam.
Yeah, nice to meet you, dickhead. But yeah, no, and so in that moment, I remember I turned around and just said it to him. Basically, it was like, in my head, it was something different. How it came out was, nice to meet you, by the way. And the way he looked, he kind of looked at me and was like, yeah, it's nice to meet you too. And then he kind of walked out.
And then he went back to his friends and said,
he probably went back to fucking Zendaya and was like, this guy just, bumped it. And I'm like, oh, fuck's sake, man. Doesn't help that I'm a massive Spider-Man fan as well.
Should have gone over to him and been like, look, sorry about the weirdness. I left my coat in there. Listen, huge fan. Absolutely. Like, I'm just full disclaimer. Like, that's the way you rescue it. You just like, look, full disclaimer. Like, I was shocked that I ran into you. You're an awesome Spider-Man. Shake my hand. Cool. I'm out. Like, I've met my fair share of celebrities, and they are genuinely like gassed when somebody acknowledges the good work that they've done.
That's the thing. I wish I had kind of gone in more, not overthunk it. But then again, I wouldn't have known this any better if I hadn't gone through this embarrassing kind of situation.
Dude, like, there's nothing you could have done in that moment.
Exactly. I know that now, but I don't actually mind when people take the piss, because I would take the piss too, because it is funny, but I'm glad that I had that experience, that I actually bumped into an actor that I actually really like. I know him and I'm a big fan of him.
Yeah.
And he plays a role that I am a huge fan of, and he does it well. And the fact that the timing, like, I could have easily walked past that restaurant and just said, no, I don't need to piss, or I'll hold it. So, it's the smallest things that in itself is just like, yeah, that was a funny experience I got out of that. That was a funny story I got out of that. And, I shouldn't overthink it. Next time I'll just be like, if I see a celebrity or if I bump into them, which I have sometimes before, and I've been much more calm about it. I guess I would just go straight for the punch, which is like, oh, big fan of your work. Who cares if they've heard that a million times that day?
Yeah.
I'll just be one of those people.
Yeah, and if they're on a good day, like, because, we all have bad days. If they're on a good day, they will acknowledge that and be like, oh, cheers for stopping by, man. Like, I really appreciate that. You might get a couple of minutes. Hey, man.
It's the look on his face that I always remember of him. When I said it to him, he kind of, as he was walking out, he kind of was like, so in these movies when he's playing as Peter Parker, and he has that, he gets the confused face, like when someone's kind of telling him, you shouldn't have done that, or this is how it works, and he's kind of got that look like, oh shit, But then imagine it. Obviously, this is him, the actor, the real person.
Yeah, just looking at you.
So when I say, and I'm saying, oh, it's nice to meet you, by the way. he kind of turns around and he's like, yeah, nice to meet you too. And he's got a little bit of a frown on his face, like kind of, yeah, it's nice to meet you too. And he's kind of, his eyes kind of dart kind of to the side a little bit. So it's kind of like, it's kind of a bit of a, okay. It's almost like in his head, I can read it, his mind, where he's thinking, okay.
WTF.
Yeah. I mean,
if it was 1994 Spider-Man, it would be, you'd hear the inner monologue going, there's a weirdo guy. I need to get the fuck out of here.
That Spider-Man, you'd hear every thought that he's thinking right now.
Just like weirdo.
Maybe he is just a weird fan who's just happened to see me, or maybe it's something even worse. Worse than that. And it's like, shut up, Spider-Man. Like just
just let me be, Spider-Man. I've made my mistake. You know what, man? Yeah. Do you know what? I can actually say that I've met a fair few celebs like years ago, and I can honestly say that I have not choked as badly as you have. So
that's fine. I've also I met the game, and I wasn't going to say shit to him. So
you told me about that. The game would shit me up.
Yeah, and I'd seen him drink like so much on stage while he was performing.
Oh, fuck!
I'm not getting into it with you, man. I'm not even going to tell you how big a fan I am, just in case I say, oh, the documentary is my favorite album, and he takes it as, well, I've made 5 albums since then. What about them? You never know. They could say shit like that. So
I wouldn't mess with the game personally.
No. My friend's got me this card. You won't be able to see it on the audio. Says, oh, hey, happy birthday. And of course he's on the front unmasked. And, they've written this really nice message in here and all this sort of shit. But then on this side, it says, in quotation marks, nice to meet you, by the
way. Oh, honestly.
And so it's not something, it's not something I'm too bothered about. It's a funny story, and I this card is on full show to everyone, so that when they ask, I just tell them the story.
Yeah, mate.
I'm not that bothered by it, but it's just so funny that it happened. And every time I watch this film, it takes me back.
Oh,
a little bittersweet moment. Like, oh man! And I saw him, Ned and Zendaya outside. They were sitting in a table outside.
Oh,
yeah, and I saw them. And it was Zendaya was on the opposite side of the table, facing towards into the window. So you could see her face. You could see the back of Tom Holland and Ned. I know it was Ned. I could just tell. Can't remember his name is Jacob in real life. And I was like, well, fuck. Okay. And then my partner was out there. She goes, oh yeah, this guy walked past. And I told her, I was like, fucking the guy who plays Spider-Man. I couldn't even say his name. I couldn't remember his name in the moment. I was like, because she wouldn't have known that. If I said Tom Holland, she wouldn't have known who I'm talking about. But I was like, the guy who plays Spider-Man walked in. She goes, oh, that's who that was. Yeah, he walked past me and said hi to me. I was like, oh, that makes it worse. You don't even know his name, and you don't even follow this shit.
Not only that, look at the amount of
Spider-Man the way I do.
Look at the amount of game Tom Holland has. He's just like, hey, weirdo in the bathroom. Don't worry. Let me go and mac on this chick outside. Hey, how you doing? And then just walks. KD, man, he's done you dirty.
Nah, this guy was being polite. He seems like the kind of guy. He's got that very. He just knows like the right things to say to normal, everyday people, who aren't fucking weirdos to him in small and closed spaces.
Life is a very strange thing, and things normally go round in circles, right? You never know. One day Tom Holland might be just like, oh man, I heard this really cool podcast, like the K&D Exchange. I really, really like the stuff. I'm going to start diving into their Spider-Man MCU like catch-ups, and then it will all make sense. Maybe he won't get in touch, but hopefully this is out, when this gets out there, he will hear it and be like, oh, that guy.
That would be so funny.
He really is a weirdo.
Yeah. Actually, this makes me not want to get in contact.
Yeah. He's questionable music tastes.
Yeah. Turns out Tom Holland's like so anti-hip hop. If that was the case, I'll just be like, wow, okay.
Nah, come on. Yeah, it doesn't matter. No, it doesn't take away from his talent as a
obviously
Spider-Man.
not.
So
obviously not. I'm fans of people who are not hip hop fans. Right.
Just very few of them.
Yeah. As long as you're not, derogatory about it, then it's fine. Because then that shows a deeper kind of bias about stuff. But yeah. But no, I always imagine if I was able to create a platform for something, and then let's say with my music or whatever, and then let's say in this scenario I was on like the Graham Norton show or something, and he was on there as well, he probably wouldn't recognize me. And then I wonder if I would tell that story.
You got to.
Yeah, with him being there.
You've got to be like, look, we actually met before.
I've actually met before. You don't even know. You probably don't even know.
You won't even know. I was the weirdo in the toilet.
I was the weirdo in the toilet. I'll be there to see the memes afterwards, man. I'll be fucking down for it.
Yeah, mate.
It'll be so funny.
There's no such thing as bad publicity. Like, look at Boris Johnson. He's somehow politically still alive. Fuck knows how. But yeah dude, it's that is a top draw story. Honestly,
I love telling that story to people. It's so like, because it's just so great seeing their reaction to like, what did you say? What did you say? And I'm like, bro, it's the worst thing.
It's the worst thing you could say. That the bed, mate. Like, genuinely, I've never. I met David Hasselhoff and didn't crap the bed that much, and he's massive. But anyway, that's a different story. But bringing it back to, the movie, the reason we are here, we're not here for witty anecdotes or tangents or anything like that, even though this has been nothing but a tangent. The end of the film where Mysterio dies, I was like, oh, wow, like he's dead, like DEAD, dead, never coming back. But he's got a whole team, so somebody else could pick up the mantle of Mysterio. So the tech is still alive.
And the guy pulled out the USB pen and left.
The tech's alive, and they could also have Jake Gyllenhaal come back anyway as a hologram. He might not even be dead for all we know. We think he is.
I hope he's not. I think he's too good a villain and actor.
He really, really is. He's top draw. So Sinister Six could still be on. I hope they do it. I really, really hope they do. But maybe it won't be till Phase 5. Like, hopefully Michael Keaton can stay alive and stuff like that. Michael Keaton he's fantastic. Anyway, but when it came to the very last, the last sort of 2-3 minutes of the film where he's swinging out, where Happy Hogan and the Aunt May are sitting there like, are you dating? And then he just webs out of the room and then, whatever. By the way, like, so for me, I was like, you're laying it on a little bit thick with the hot aunt thing. Like, it's quite annoying now. Like, I could take it in the first film where, like, my Spanish isn't great, but where where he goes to see the normal shop that he goes to, and then he says,
they start talking about his aunt.
Yeah, so in Spanish, right, my Spanish isn't great, but I know the word aunt. And then they said something. So I'm guessing they're saying, he's the kid with the hot aunt or something.
Yeah.
But then this isn't subtitled. And then he says in Spanish something about the guy's daughter, like how's your daughter or something.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
cool.
Right,
my Spanish is non. So I managed to pick that up anyway. So
yeah. That's pretty cool.
I was just kind of like, okay, they're laying it on thick. And then in this film, Aunt May's like walking away from Happy Hogan at the job, and I'm like, gosh, like look at that ass, But do you know what I mean? And it was just like they're laying it on.
She's very leng. So,
Marissa Tomei, like 57 years old.
She's 57 years old.
57, yeah. Only because I looked it up the other day. I was like, she's got to be nearly 60 because I remember her from the 90s. But anyway,
she's 57.
It's
crazy.
Yeah, man. Well, that's Hollywood for you. Like, look at flipping Jennifer Lopez. She looks better now than she ever did.
Yeah,
but that's plastic surgery. That's plastic surgery and all that. I don't know if you've seen Madonna recently. Lord above, like my missus said, "Oh my gosh, look at Lord Madonna." Like, it's disgusting. Anyway, so my point was, towards the end, you get into like typical Spider-Man hijinks. He's returned home now. He's swinging through swinging through New York City. And there are points where he like glides through this one building. Can't remember what the building is. And I was like, it's just like the game. He takes a selfie just like the game. And I was like,
they took a lot of things from the game. Yeah.
Yeah. It's basically exactly the game. I was like, oh my gosh. He picks up, picks
Zendaya,
up MJ, and then like they're swinging around, and I was literally just like, oh, this is so feel good. I was like actually genuinely smiling. And then like he's on the lamppost, he's like, right, I'm off, and he looks at the screen, and all of that is just wiped away. When it's just like Spider-Man, his real name is this, like, and it's got a picture. Oh my good, that is how you end a film. Could not believe. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. I was like, now I'm gassed for Spider-Man 3.
How did you feel about the? Was that a post-credit scene, or was the post-credit scene the scroll thing, or was there two?
No, there were two. Yeah,
okay.
The web swinging was
like right at the end.
Yeah. So when he drops Zendaya, that's when the film ends. As in, like, he's swinging, and then they go over the church, and then he just drops her because he thinks it's funny, right?
Oh yeah.
And then it goes to credits, and then the opening stinger comes in, and then he swings down, and she's like, "Let's never do that again. Like, I don't want to do that again." He jumps on, he's like, "All right, see you later," and then the screen comes on,
news.
And you're like,
"Oh shit!"
Also, shout out to J. Jonah Jameson.
I was just about to ask you how you felt about that.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, because it basically then now lends itself into what we're going to see multiverse.
Exactly.
So
it's another version of him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I was like, okay, cool, right.
You can't get anyone else to play that role. He's just so perfect for it.
J.K. Simmons, he is just a fantastic actor. I really rate him. Good. I really rate him. Like in his serious roles, he's a beast. He's a monster. Anyway, couldn't believe it. And then I saw the scrolls bit. Like I actually forgot that there was another end thing because I'm an adult, and I was like, I've got shit to do. But I looked it up online, like, are there any other like end credit scene in Spider-Man? Well. And there was, and I was like, okay, cool. So let me watch it. And I was like, oh, the scrolls. But then they're going to do Secret Invasion. Oh my goodness, that means that they're gonna, I had all these ideas in my head. Oh my gosh, they could call back like the old Captain America and roll in Fantastic Four, Wolverine, Doctor Doom, all these guys. Like they could roll in everybody to that. But now that you've told me,
when he's gliding through Avengers Tower, that's Avengers Tower that he's gliding through, but they've sold it.
Yeah,
so some people saying that could become
the Fantastic Four place.
Yeah,
man, I would genuinely. I want the Fantastic Four in there only because I think that. So I don't know what the next big bad is going to be, but if they do Fantastic Four, then they could roll in. There's this guy called Annihilus. They could roll him in because he's basically like a bug, and he's got. So basically, the Fantastic Four go to this place. It's like another universe, and it's called the Negative Zone, and that's where Annihilus lives, right?
Yeah.
So he comes out, and it's through. And the only reason I know this because I read Civil War, the comic, years ago, and in that comic, while Iron Man and Captain America are fighting, this dude called Nova or Richard Rider comes crashing down to Earth, and he goes to the superheroes, and he's like, "Guys, what are you doing?" And they're like, we're fighting over superhero registration. He's like, the universe is on fire. I need your help. Like, we're all going to die, right? And I was like, what the hell is this being rolled into? Anyway, it's a story where all the Guardians of the Galaxy, Thanos, Galactus, they're all fighting Annihilus and his annihilation wave. And they're a bunch of bugs that are like basically billions and billions and billions. And they're coming and they're wiping out all of the universe. So hopefully with Fantastic Four in the MCU, they can go to the Negative Zone, meet Annihilus, and the next big bad is him and his billions of baddies come along, and they can roll in some cosmic entities like Galactus or one of the flipping Celestials or whatever. And then, you can have a free-for-all. But yeah, that's my nerd shit. Anyway.
Do you reckon Doctor Doom could be a big bad, or do you think he could only be kind of a villain for a couple of movies, or like
he is. So what is Doctor Doom? He's basically Doctor Strange with loads of tech and like billions. Sure. He's basically Doctor Strange and Iron Man rolled into one, essentially. Yeah. So he works
with magic or like ancient stuff as well.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
I don't know if he's compelling enough. For me, I've never really cared for Doctor Doom. I know he's a badass.
Sure.
I don't know a lot about him, so I'm the worst person to ask. I think if they were going to roll him in, they would do. If they were going to make him the big bad, they would do Secret Wars, where he becomes God King Doom, and then he's like, he's basically, I think he's got the Infinity Gauntlet, and then like it's like the multiverse is collapsing, and what he does is he takes like loads of different parts of different multiverses and smashes them all together to make Battle World, and then so he's got like I think like the Marvel zombies are there in one place. He's got like the Thor core, so thousands of Thors from different worlds have made like this police force essentially, and then you've got like normal Battle World where I think Peter Parker, I think Black Panther, and like a couple of other like heroes that we know are there, but with other versions. And then what happens? The multiverse gets restored, and then they all go back home. But essentially, so they could maybe do that. I don't know if that's too messy though.
It could be potentially on screen as well. And I wonder how far this multiverse thing is going to go, if it's going to culminate in Doctor Strange 2, or if they're going to continue it out, but maybe not as crazy as like Doctor Strange 2 feels like it's like the pinnacle of the craziness of it all, and how he's going to try and mend some of the mistakes that they've done, and maybe tie in some of the Loki stuff as well. I'm not sure. But I wonder if it's going to continue in this multiverse direction, because then you could get that Doom thing you just said.
That would be the
God King Doom.
God King Doom in Secret Wars. I think that's what his name is, and he's basically
that sounds intimidating, and I reckon he could look intimidating being up there with his iron mask and his hood and kind of
and the Infinity Gauntlet. I think he's got one, but
I wonder if they would bring that back. I wonder if they'd want to retread that.
Well, in this universe, it's destroyed.
Oh yeah, of course, but they could take it from the other ones.
And this is one of my. This was one of my. Hold on. See, look, my wife. She always likes to have a word. Anyway, what was I going to say? She's thrown me because she's moaning about something.
Talking about the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, it doesn't work in like another universe. So you know what I mean.
The stones have to be from that particular universe, right?
I can't remember the nerd shit behind that, but man, like I don't know how far it's going to be.
Same. I wonder if Doom's going to show up in Black Panther, because that's going to come out in November, I think, this year. But we don't have any details about it. And I didn't realize he was a Doom was a Black Panther villain. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he showed up.
Yeah, because Black Panther is also part of Fantastic Four's kind of story as well. Like they meet him in Wakanda at some point, and it's like, okay, I did not know that. So that's a good connection point too.
Yeah, well, and also the Illuminati are like this Black Panther and what's his name? Doctor Strange, Professor X, Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four. So they got a couple of links as well. So
I'm only smiling like that because I watched the Doctor Strange too.
Oh, so there's the Illuminati. They're rolling in the Illuminati there.
There's a little hint to it.
But the thing is, you can get the good Illuminati or the bad ones, depending on because if you get the bad lot, then you are finished.
Yeah, I think I know which one it's going to be based on the other hint that they also then alluded to. But yeah.
All right, I'm not gonna watch it just only because I need to watch Spider-Man 3 first. But yeah, man.
Don't worry, actually, the trailer doesn't actually spoil anything from Spider-Man 3, but it's
but I'm gonna connect dots, mate. I know what I'm like. I'll be like,
I'm trying. Yeah, I guess. But yeah, so this movie as well. I feel like there's another question I was going to ask about. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a really good movie as well. I still prefer Homecoming, I think. Do you have a preference based on the two?
Yeah, I prefer Homecoming because it surprised me. This one was like, it's going to be good. But it didn't really elicit a response from me until the very, very end. Basically, when he's swinging through New York, and when he's like, I was genuinely like smiling, like, oh wow, that's so cool. Like he's back in New York, and then at the end where I was like, at the end stinger. So I mean, like out of 10, what would I give it? I mean, I'd give it a 7.5.
That seems fair to me, yeah.
Because last week was an 8. And I'm sure Spider-Man 3 will be like a 10. because my little brother, like I saw him yesterday, he was like, "Oh, you're right." I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, I saw the Spider-Man film. It's the only one I've seen out of the new ones." I said, "Is it good?" And he went, "Yeah." And I was like, "All right, okay, cool." So
there's a lot of people I've seen converted now. The amount of people that I've seen being like, Tom Holland, my favorite Spider-Man, and I'm like, wow. These people I see on Twitter and stuff, and they've been bashing these Iron Boy Jr. films, and then suddenly it's it all makes sense.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know, it's like, come on, man, you guys should have come in with open minds to begin with. And you know, that's the thing. Like you said last time, I think probably the exchange episode. It's the problem with having no, it was Homecoming, I think.
Yeah,
because I talked about how when I hear I heard that review of No Way Home, and it's okay if you don't like the movie, that's fine, like completely fine. But it's when people chat shit, like when they clearly don't understand certain things, or just because something's not like the Raimi films, suddenly it's like that's the only benchmark you can have. You can only do it that way. And
I know,
man, it's infuriating. Or they don't remember the names of people. Not remember the names, but they just completely confuse the wrong names. And then that is upon which they create these bad arguments. And I'm like, no, your original premise was wrong because you didn't even get the actual events right and stuff. You know, that stuff annoys me. But yeah, this film definitely changed a lot of opinions. I was going to say, when we were talking about Avi Arad before, when we were talking about the animated show, do you find it at all distracting or, I don't know, annoying? I'm basing this also on what I see from other people. The fact that he's always had a lot of costume changes. So throughout this kind of his MCU debut, even, you know, we've seen the original. I mean, even in Homecoming, we saw his suit that he was given by Stark, and then we saw the original one that he made himself, that he used that at the end. In this one, we have the Night Monkey suit, we have the Iron Spider suit, and then we have the brand new one that he creates on the ship.
Yeah. I didn't care. It's just to sell toys, though.
Yeah.
I'm so sort of.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of, you realize that it's put in there because people are like, well, we need to sell different versions.
It's just marketing. It's pathetic, to be honest.
The fact that that's done like that.
Yeah, but it's a part of films. Like
yeah.
Like, I remember, like when we start watching like decent films, like not decent.
I know what you're trying to say.
When we
like
start
big
watching,
commercials,
like say Terminator or Aliens or something like that, right?
Yeah,
you can see that it's basically like a studio gives a director creative license to do what they want, essentially, right? And out comes amazing art. But the way in which films are made, largely, like, again, I'm going to bash the latest Star Wars trilogy because it's toilet.
Yeah.
And some of these Marvel movies, like they are done by committee. Take the DC universe as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's largely a pile of rubbish, to be fair.
Yeah.
And because it's done by committee, it's not done by a singular person with a singular vision.
Yeah.
And it's not executed well enough. So that's where we are in films. And look, the MCU, it's kind of like it's like buying a pack of chocolate digestive biscuits. You know you're going to enjoy them. Yeah. So, you know,
and every now and then you get a really, really, really like out of the box good. I don't know how to work that into your metaphor, but like, I don't know, one particular digestive flavor or something like that, where it's just, this slaps, you know.
Absolutely.
You know, all the digestive biscuits are good at their core, because you could even have a plain digestive and it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Get the right cup of tea, you're all good.
You can have the double chocolate one, you can have the dark chocolate one, you can have the regular chocolate one, you can have an orange chocolate one. You know at their core that they're good. Yeah. But some of them might be like, don't like them as much because of the orange that they added. Yeah, don't like that. But this one though, this one really fucking good, right? I feel that with the whole MCU thing. It's at its core based on a good premise. And then you have some standout films, like really stand out, like Thor Ragnarok or the first Iron Man film.
Guardians,
that's the other one. Those are like the flagship ones for me, where it's like, that's when you really let the creative vision just you just let the director really come in and add their whole thing to it.
That's it.
Yeah. But also the thing is with Spider-Man, that guy's always changing his fucking costume. I think that's what people love about him as well. Like, you see different iterations of his costume, even in the game. Like, even in the early PlayStation 1 game, you'd complete the game, and as you went through it, you would get like the Scarlet Spider suit, the symbiote spider suit.
That's it.
The unlimited spider suit. So I love seeing all the different versions.
Same. I've got no problem with it. And plus, his suit is going to get torn up because he's fighting so much. So
yeah. So
people just find a reason to moan about anything. Like, this is the thing about this 21st century life. Like, unfortunately, Twitter is a good thing at some points, but you've given idiots a voice, and that is a shame.
Them a platform. Yeah,
and now
it's good to give everyone a platform. In theory.
Is it though?
In theory, I guess on paper, it might sound like it. In the same way we talk about streaming, it's the idea of having endless accessibility. Sounds amazing until you have it. And after a while, you're just like, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Give everyone an opinion, and especially if you only give them 200 characters or however many it is,
140, I think it was. I don't know if they. Oh, mate, I don't know.
I thought they doubled it, and then you just have people say things as if they're facts, no sources, no fact checking, no real, no real explanation behind the thoughts. It's just an opinion, but they've said it in such a way where everyone should believe that. And it's just, people just find. No, I'm not going to say people just find things to complain about all the time, but some of them do.
Yes, they do. Gosh,
some of them do.
You can't say you can't share an earnest feeling without somebody asking you to justify it. It's like, I don't. Who the, you know what? Like, genuinely, on that flipping note, like,
yeah. You gave a rating for this movie, didn't you?
Yeah, 7.5, and I'll be looking forward. I'll see if I can escape this madhouse and flipping get some time to watch the new movie.
The new one. It should be in cinemas, I think, up until the end of this month.
All right.
That's when I think it's going for home release, potentially.
Might have to wait till home release. I'll let you know. But this was all right, man. It's a good film. There's nothing wrong with it. It's really good. But it just, it just came and went, you know?
I fully get that. It's a fun film for me to put on every now and then, but I do forget about it sometimes. Yeah. Compared to Homecoming and the other Spider-Man films and the new one, they stick in my memory a lot more.
For real.
But so that was cool. Yeah.
I enjoyed that. It was a bit more, it wasn't as nerdy as the first one.
I think
we went overboard, but I think we've said most of the things we needed to say about Spider-Man at that point. So we're able to talk about brass tacks. But man, look, I'm going to wrap this bad boy up because I've got to run, peeps. So thank you so much, everybody, for rocking with us until the very end of this quite a long episode, if I imagine.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a long one. So, we will see you on the next Exchange episode where we talk music. And then hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I would have seen the third movie. But if not, we'll find something else to talk about in the meantime. Hope everyone is well in your world. Peace, love, and blessings to all of you and yours. Peace. Yeah, we got that one.